Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is Mark Dooley with Hagerman, and we also have Keith Doran in the background here with us. We'll be answering questions as Miss Ashley stated there. The right-hand side of the GoToWebinar dialog box, we do have a questions area that you can type those questions. Keith will answer those as we're going throughout, and we'll also have some Q&A time at the end of the webinar. So as we get started here, we are looking at Inventor 2025 and Vault 2025. We do have a polling question that we want to ask you guys first. So Miss Ashley is going to bring that up, and that's what version of Inventor are we currently working with? So if you guys don't mind making your selections there. All right, so looks like we've got a lot of 2024 users. We've got a few that are still using 2022 or older. Excellent. All right, well, thank you guys for voting there. So it kind of gives us an idea of what we are looking at there. So 2024 was the winner. Looks like 45% of you guys that voted are using the 2024 release. And we've got a few of you that have already made the jump to 2025. Congratulations. Some are still using 2023, and then about 30% are still on a 2022 version or older. All right, so into the content. Why we're here today, Inventor 2025. It is making a huge jump as far as the release of Inventors. We're getting there, big milestone for this one. So kind of got a little small cheat sheet here for some of the recent releases. Inventor 2022 brought out model states, helping to tie the gap between design and Vault, getting away from iParts and iAssemblies, working into design model states. The fillet command was moved from the old dialog box to the property browser. We had display extended information added for more features and functions that were added throughout the software. The dark theme was taken out of the pre-release and finally officially supported inside of Inventor for everyone that doesn't like the light theme, wanted to go to the dark theme. Inventor 2023, we had 3D annotation updates, fillet enhancements with the G2s and splines, GPU ray tracing, express mode enhancements, the new home screen. 2024, we saw iLogic updates in the back end with the Vault commands. We had a new mark feature, a new finish feature, some tube and pipe updates with the elbows. And then Inventor 2025 comes out again, and we've got upgrades on the performance side, modern look and usability from the sheet metal side, interoperability updates, a new hole option, sheet metal updates, model state enhancements, and more. And we're going to jump in and take a look at some of these bigger ones. So as I stated, Inventor 2025 is a milestone. This is the 25th year of Autodesk Inventor. This release here brings in over 140 enhancements from user requests, bug fixes, things like that from the Inventor idea wish list or idea station, as well as beta testers. And we have the part modeling, assembly modeling, drawing environment, general enhancements, interoperability, sheet metal, some nice upgrades here we're going to take a look at. So we're going to start looking on the part modeling side. And we're kind of building on that momentum of 2014, introducing enhancements specifically around the finish feature, which was new for 2014. The existing finish feature selector was replaced by two selectors to now for include and exclude. You can use the include selector for faces and bodies, use the exclude the same way. The new selection option specifies whether you're selecting the entire surface body or the entire solid body or specific faces. You can use the control command just to deselect and select by more as you're going. Inside the derive component command, if we're working with that and we're using a component that has the finish features applied, those are now included and will be carried out as part of the derive component as well. You can also disable parameters if you are adding those parameters, and then when you go out to export this or to make a derived component, you can not have those parameters included, so you can delete those. Show extended names has been updated to include appearance, color, material coating process, heat treat processes, surface texture process, and painting processes inside the finish command there as well. Inside of assemblies, if you are working with components that have the finish command applied, those can be mirrored and they're included inside the mirror as well. The hardness input has been changed to a text field, allowing input for units or ranges of the hardness values. You can also delete and reorder the finishes while working in express mode inside of an assembly. Sketch patterns. We have a sketched boundary and pattern sketch geometry only within that boundary option. So as you're working with sketch patterns, you can set the boundary for, hey, select everything inside of this and nothing else. So it doesn't matter the column or the row spacing, it's going to select those certain ones. And then we have a new hole type, new drill point operation in the hole that meets the ISO standard of 15786 that gives us the flat W, the angle V, and the angle Y options as well. So a lot of information right there on that one. When we start looking at the sheet metal side, we've got a new modernized interface, and that is taking the sheet metal and bringing it over into the property panels. So when we start looking at the face command from Inventor 2014 to what it looks like now in Inventor 2025, it has been replaced with the property panel for the face options, as well as the cut command. The cut command has been replaced. The cut command dialog box has been replaced with the property panel, as well as the flange command. So the flange command, the small dialog box, got the different options, the different tabs. The new flange property panel has all of the information right there available on the front page of the property panel itself. Now you can collapse these, you can hide these, the ones that you don't need, you're not working with, you can collapse those to keep the graphical real estate there at a premium. You can also dock these. So these can be docked next to the model browser, next to the Vault browser, right-hand side, left-hand side. So you can attach those there, same with the measure command, so that you can keep them off the screen and keep your model up where you've got full access to it. So keep in mind those property panels can be docked there. All right, on the assembly modeling side, you can now temporarily display components with separate colors. This is a customizable setup. There are defaults for each unique top level assembly, for each top level assembly, for each part, and for each unique part. And so this is available on the View tab, and you can just go in and select one of the pull downs, select one of the options, and this helps kind of tell that story. So if you want to separate this out to where every component, every unique component has a different color, you can do that. If you want it to be every top level assembly or every unique top level assembly, you can do that as well. And then to get back to the full color of your model, just reselect the option to deselect it there. The bolted connection. When you are using the bolted connection generator, you can select circular and rectangular patterns that were created inside the assembly environment, not just inside the component itself now. So the follow pattern option is added to the placement area of the design tab. So as you are adding in your fasteners here, once you've got your hole selected, the start plane, the termination plane, you can select follow pattern. It will recognize the assembly pattern as well as the component feature pattern. So this one has been one of those high wish list options. The idea station each year gets filled with, hey, we want to be able to do this. This is one of the things that would help us. And finally, this one is here. And this is where we can link part numbers to text. So if we're going to put just regular text, leader text on here, we can link our part number from our bill of material onto our text here. So there's a lot of enhancements in here to optimize drawings, but the biggest heavy hitter is this one right here, and it's the ability to insert that item number to drawing leader text. This enables dynamic updates to the text, linked to the parts list, as well as to balloons and notes within the drawings. So if anything changes, it updates as well. There is also a new background fill option for dimensions. So if you are adding dimensions on shaded views, or you want them to stand out a little bit more, you can go in and format the text and put a shading behind the dimensions so that we can read those easier. And when exporting those components out, the annotations with a background fill will be imported and exported with that background color fill. So if we're exporting them out, they're going to go. If we're importing them in from someone else, they're going to come in as well. This does not apply to leaders. That was only for dimensions there on that one. On the interoperability side, the advancements within the Autodesk ecosystem are focused on enhancing seamless integration with AEC applications that just give us more efficient workflows, whether it's Revit files, IFC files, simplification files, and more. And so with Inventor 2025, we can now import IFC files. We can make the choices during the import process to see what we want to see using the preview. So we can load the model as we're going and kind of see which components we want to bring in or we don't before we include or exclude what's in the IFC class so we're bringing in. When we're exporting components out we have the ability to export these components out to Revit 2023 or newer. When exporting, if you do not have the Revit core engine installed, you are prompted to install it during the export process. And so it will go out, it will install it for you so that it can do the conversion. As the installation proceeds, you can still work inside of Inventor. It doesn't lock your machine up or anything. Once the installation is complete, restart the command, then the Revit version 2023 4 or 5 is there, and then you can export your assembly, your component there to Revit 23 or newer. All right, so selection highlighting for components, faces, edges. This has been enhanced to provide greater contrast when working within models. When highlighting the component, the outline displays in a contrasting color to the highlight, further enhancing an easy identification based off what you're trying to select and how many components are on screen there. The highlighting of spheres, cylinders, torus, etc., has been improved to better distinguish the item of focus. If you're looking at the assembly and you got your selection filter on single part, it's going to select the part. If it's select on body, it's going to select the body. If it's select on component, it could be sub-assembly, top level assembly. Just depending on your selection filter, we'll adjust that. The color list in the color scheme editor is now completely customizable, that we can use for the separate color section that was added earlier. In parts and assemblies, if we're creating 3D annotation dimensions from sketch or feature dimensions, we can promote those so that we can pull those up and find those and pull those easier into our drawings. Multiple decals can now be placed on the same face. The order of operation in the model browser dictates which decal lies on top of one another. So we have them overlapping each other, overlapping on a curve or a surface, or a cylindrical surface, whatever it is. The one that was added last, the hierarchy there, will be the one on top. Appearance overrides do not affect that decal appearance. So if we change the color of the model, change the color of the component, display on solid surfaces and derived parts and assemblies are still there. Doesn't affect that. Shared views are supporting the decals as well. So if we are creating shared views to send those out to others, the decal images are converted to SVF images for compatibility within the viewers. All right, so we're going to flip over here to the software real quick and take a couple of quick looks at some features here. So if you're not familiar with that display extended information that we have inside of Inventor, it can be found inside the little horizontal hamburger menu right here. Display preferences, show extended names. And what that does is that takes the traditional model browser, Revolution 1, Rev 2, Extrusion 1, Extrusion 2, Hole 1 through Hole 7, Finish 1, Finish 2. It takes and applies a little more information there for us, giving us more detail into what feature this is, what is controlling this feature. So now my finish here, the finish features are supported now for the display, the extended information. So now I've got a hardening here. And this one here, this is a full revolution, a extrusion that's 3/4 inch deep. And if I come down, there is a 5/8 through all hole. There's a fillet that's 0.09. There's a fillet that's 0.032 without having to go to the feature and edit those. I can see that here on the screen, which is a nice one to have there. But that is there. You can also turn it on in the application options. It's just easier to get to from right here because we're already on the screen. So here, looking at an assembly, we can come into our display separate colors and we can say, all right, so show me right here each unique top level assembly. All right, show me each top level assembly. Doesn't have to be unique, just each one. And now each unique part. And then from here for each part. And so this temporary color scheme that is applied here also works if we're looking at a section view. So if we are applying a section view here, this adheres to that as well as we are looking so that we can see those components stand out and just giving us more fidelity here on the screen to tell that story, to show what we're looking at, what we're trying to explain, whether it's testing interferences, whether it's just sending it to a coworker to say, hey, take a look at this, make sure it's lining up, whatever it is, we've got that option. And then to bring it back to the regular colors, just select it again and it disables it. And then we can go back to our full view there on this one. So it works great. Turning that on to any of those different assemblies there, if you're doing half view, quarter view, 3/4 view, makes it easy to get in there and hatches those components for us so we can see those a lot easier there. All right, let's go start a new sheet metal component here. So the right click menus are still here. These are still customizable if you would like. So we'll come in here and create us a rectangle very quickly. And we'll say this one is 6x8. Finish our sketch. And as we apply a face, now we have our face property panel. So again, this can be docked right here. So if I don't want to see it on screen, or if I want to keep it off screen, we can dock it there, can dock it to the other side, or we can leave it floating right here as well. And so are we flipping the direction? Are we center line about the direction? What rule are we going to use? Listed right here. So we can pull this in, pull this out. We want to give it a specific body name for the first one. So different options here we've got. If you don't want to see that, you can just collapse that. But we'll select OK here. So now as we start working with the cut and the face commands, we've got these different property panels now that are added in here. And so if we come over and say, let's add a flange here and a flange here. And we'll just grab our angle here and rotate this around the 45. We can grab the manipulators here and address these. And then here we've got all of the different information here that we used to have in the old dialog box. Now we've got it all right here in one screen right in front of us. And so again, if we're not worried about the bend reliefs, bend properties, we can collapse that so we can see more. If we want to see, all right, what type of gap size, we want to go look at the list of parameters that are available. We can pull those from there. If we want to type it in, we want to make this a round corner. We want to trim to bend it. We want to make it a tear. How are we going to make it? So we've got all those options available right here inside the dialog window, right here in our property panel. Now, the property panel Some users love it. Some users can't get used to not having the old dialog boxes. They do have some merit there. If we were adding just a new sketch here, and say we were going to just bring up an extrusion, and we're working right here. When we're working in certain commands like that, you can toggle back and forth between the sketch and the extrusion without ever leaving the dialog box. So if we have any dimensions on this, we can go back and edit those while we're in this dialog here. So these little breadcrumbs that the property panels leave, those are available there for a reason. And that is to help us get back and forth through there between the commands without having to edit a command and go back and edit the feature and go back and edit the sketch and finish it and go back and edit the feature. We can just go back and forth between those two there. All right, so the finish command, if we haven't used it yet. So it is available on the 3D model tab right here called finish. And as we select a face or multiple faces, we can start seeing some options here. So we can apply the appearance we want to look at, material coating, do we want to make it a heat treatment right here? And then if we're going to do heat treatment, what's the process we're going to work with? What's the appearance we want it to show? What's the description? And then we can exclude. Nope, we don't care about this one. Get that one out of there. So we can remove the ones we don't want to show with the disable parameter right here. We can say export all of these out as we're working with this here. So if we say, you know what, we're going to make this a soft and don't care about the depth. I want to add a comment. We'll say test. And so we've got some different information here. Are one face or two faces? Are we doing a only faces? Find bodies first. Different options here. We'll select OK. Then there is a finish folder added to our model browser here. And this will tell us what we're working with. So we can edit it from here. We can delete it from here. It's stored right there in the model. If we export the model, it's stored there as well. All right, so we are going to flip over to the vault side now. And Miss Ashley will kick off the vault polling question here we have for you guys. So if you will, I think the choices are we using Vault Professional, are we using Vault Basic, or are we not using Vault at all? All right, a lot of responses coming in there. Thank you guys. All right, so 62% using Vault Pro, 21 not using Vault, and 16% using Vault Basic. Excellent. Thank you guys. That helps us out a lot. So Vault 2025 can be broken out into 3 areas for authors, administrators, and participants. The authors were promoting collaboration, administrators giving more control, especially from the IT side, and participants enhance thin client UI, enhance Vault features there as well. So as we start taking a look here on the Vault 2025 side, right out of the box, one of the big ones is we can map Vault user-defined properties to PDF properties. We can content index those PDF properties as well. So that gives us the ability to write directly to those PDFs. If we're using the job processor to create those, if we're using Cool Orange to help create those, we can map our UDPs there to PDFs. And we even get to see the PDF thumbnails. Copy design. Copy design with Vault Basic has been in the traditional dialog box and not really in the laid out format of Vault Professional with the toolbar. And that has changed now in Vault Basic 2025. Now the copy design UI that is inside Vault Professional is also inside of Vault Basic. So the commands are still there. It's just a different layout. Copy design is one of the most powerful features of Vault. It's a big reason customers move to Vault is to copy design files and quickly reuse old designs to create new designs or new sub-assemblies from Vault without having to regenerate inside of Inventor all of the assemblies. So Vault 2025 removes the old copy design interface in Vault Basic, replaces it with the functionality that is available inside of Vault Professional. It is a modeless dialog with a toolbar now. It can remain open while you're still working in the background in other Vault commands. It doesn't lock your screen. You can customize the layout of the copy design application. You can add, remove column fields, controlling whether the grid lines or banding shown. If they're enabled, you've got the option to actions to copy, copy to, reuse, replace, exclude, auto, all available right there as well. Everything that we could do in the old interface is available. You just got more on the front screen there. The navigation panel assists with identifying important information about copy designs while applying specific actions to multiple files. Admins can set up rules for copy design. We can use the numbering schemes that reside inside Vault there for applying the numbering schemes. You've still got your prefix, your suffix. You get to see there on screen what they are before you execute. Email notifications. Did you get my email about that file transitioning? No, well, you should have. I forgot to send it. Now with Vault Professional, we have the ability to send those emails as those files transition states. So when we are setting these up, an admin can set these up with specific templates. They can use the default templates. So as files transition, emails are sent to specific users from a predefined recipient list. So inside the Vault options on the behaviors tab, there is now a notifications button for configuring email notification settings. Inside this, what life cycle definition are we using? We set that first, and then we pick the states we're moving from and to. So in this case here, I'm going from work in progress to review. I'm using the template for WIP to review. You can use your own templates. You can create templates. You can use the default templates. And then you add the members you want to be notified. And then as you transition files, those emails are sent. There's no delay in the screen. There's no dialog that pops up and says, hey, I'm sending this. It just happens in the background. So you say, I want to allow notifications for all of these to whichever user it is, or number of users, or group that you're working with. So in my case here, I've got it set up that when I go from work in progress to review, from review to release, review to work in progress, release to work in progress, release to quick change to release, work in progress to released, I get an email. And then that email comes in, and as part of the default template, this is the information it gives me. The following life cycle has occurred. The file name, work in progress to review. Here's a link to the file, the vault it came from, the user that was logged in, and the timestamp. Depending on how fast your email sync is, depends on how fast it gets there. This one here I was testing yesterday. I sent it at 1:28. It was in my inbox at 1:30. Not too bad. All right, another one for the administrators, and this is backups. So this release of Vault adds support with new backup features for our scheduled backup functionality. The enhancements include backing up databases only, selecting specific vaults and libraries, and skipping the file store validation during backups. We also have options if we're doing a restore, where we want to use the existing file store without having to delete it and let it regenerate it. So we have some options there. Now, if we have a incremental backup that needs to be scheduled or something has changed, it will tell us, hey, we can't do this right now. You'd have to do a full restore, but we have those options there. So in the Vault 2025, if I come over and I say I want to do a backup, validate file storage, yes, no, validate backed up files, content libraries, backup only the databases, yes or no, and which vaults. Do I want to all 4 of my vaults? Do I only want to get 1 of my vaults? Where am I going with it? And I can go from there. If I go on the restore option, I can't do it incremental because I have checked some files out today. It's letting me know, hey, something has changed since your last incremental upgrade. But here, if I want to use the existing file store, I can use the existing file store. Do I want to validate it? Yes or no? As we're working with it, maybe it's a test box, a sandbox, where we want to make sure we can do the upgrade. We've got those options here built into our interface for our backups and our restores now. Purge. Probably doesn't happen enough with a lot of vaults, but it can now be part of lifecycle transitions. It can now be part of purging folders itself on the contents. So like purging with file and atom versions, administrators and also project administrator users can purge all content files within a selected folder project. This saves time and effort for you guys required to manually choose and purge each file individually. We can enable that purge under the transaction actions, which would be for our state to state transitioning there as well. And you guys asked and asked, and Autodesk listened. And we now have options inside the global settings here as an admin that you can configure and edit the password policy. A minimum password length, check. Lowercase and uppercase, check. Numbers and special characters, check. You can toggle those on or toggle those off, or you can not enforce the password policy and keep it as it is for now. Nothing to see here, keep it moving, or you can come in and you can say, nope, we want to make sure everyone is using a secure password here and give them a password policy as we would roll out from the Windows side. That is available there now. On the thin client side, we get a couple of nice enhancements here. Toggling back and forth between workspaces, consistent sorting behavior, just like the desktop client or the thick client. We can also show and hide panels very easily there inside. And there is also your own little logo here at the top. So as we are working here, you go back to the login screen, the vault you want to log into, the server you're logging into, your credentials, and you can have your logo, or you can have the default Autodesk Vault logo. And as an admin, that is under settings here. So on the general tab, choose a custom image, JPEG, SVG, PNG file. Enforce default header properties. You want to make sure everything is going out through there. The files tab, we can make that the default landing page so that when we open up the thin client, we automatically go to the files page. If we're using items, we can make the items the default. If we're using change orders the most, we can make change orders. We can also hide those. If we don't want to see change orders, we don't want to see items, we don't have to see those. We can turn those off, and now all I see are items and files. And so I can quickly go between the two here. And then if, as an admin, if I see, you know what, I do need to see change orders, come back in here, global setting, and now change orders are here as well. So as we get here, going through, you've got the search commands. We can dig into the folders themselves and go select one. As we select a component here, we've still got our backgrounds or our views we can see in the background here. This is still updated by the Autodesk Forge here. So as we want to turn on panels, we can collapse them to the side, bring those back out. without having to close them completely, just move them off so that we don't have to then bring back up the command. So we can hide those. We say, nope, let's exit that. If we want to see the model browser, we can turn on and off it. We've got an assembly, different components there. We've still got our zoom. We've still got our markup tools. If it's an assembly, you can still explode here with the files. We'll get this one loaded, and then we can say, hey, explode this, and then we can drag this out here. So kind of give us an idea. We can go in and zoom around and look right at a specific component as it is exploded there. Zoom in, zoom out, and kind of take a look at it. And we can bring it back together, explode it out a little bit more. Different options there. All the way out. If we want to dig in here, look at one of these sprockets or inside one of the studs, or bring it right back together. So different options there. And then on the model browser on this side, you know what? We don't want to see this casing or this heat ring, not even the flange base. Let's just look at these, the combustion stage here, as well as the pattern. So we've got the option here inside the thin client, which is only available with Vault Professional, that we can turn these on or off right there. And so we can look at exactly what we're trying to see on this side here. We do have section analysis. So here we can come in and zoom in, just like we could on the Inventor side with our file, and cut those through there as well. And then as we start turning components back on, everything will start displaying back there as well. So those commands are still there. It's just easier to show and hide those when we are looking at the different components. We can navigate quickly between the files, the items, and the change orders back and forth. We do have our logo there if we want to put our company logo in the top left, but we do not have to do that, but we can. So here is Vault Basic 2025. And so if I grab one of my smaller assemblies here, and we go to copy design, let this open up here as it loads for us. There it comes. All right, as it loads for us here in the background, love when these take their own time there. Well, if it's not going to cooperate, we'll come back to it in just a second. So thin client enhancements, working between the workspaces, consistent sorting behavior of our components, moving our markup panels around, our measure panels, hiding those, keeping those on the screen, just collapsing and bringing those back up. And that is a highlight, a quick overview of the Inventor 2025 and the Vault 2025 softwares. So that's a wrap for our 2025 content there. If you are ready to upgrade your Vault or ready to talk Vault, Vault Basic or Vault Professional, Vault Basic is included with the Product Design and Manufacturing Collection, then please reach out to Ken Christensen at hagerman.com, and Ken will be glad to help you guys get set up with a scoping call or an upgrade call, and Hagerman is happy to assist with you guys. We do have some Inventor classes coming up in the month of June. These are online classes. We have an Inventor Sheet Metal Design, June 6th and 7th in the Eastern Time Zone. Inventor Level 1 for new users, June 10th and 12th in the Central Time Zone. Inventor Part Modeling, June 13th and 14th Eastern Time Zone. Inventor Advanced Modeling, or Inventor Advanced Assembly Modeling, June 24th and 25th in the Eastern time zone. There's also a part modeling, I believe, in the Pacific time zone, June 11th and 12th. And there's also an Inventor iLogic for new user class, or iLogic new user class, in early June as well. That is a Pacific time zone. And I think Miss Ashley has a couple of links here to share with you guys. And with that, we will turn it over to questions. All right, seeing some good questions in here. Keith has answered a few of those. All right, Keith answered this one. I will address it because I have had this question on others. Email notifications, can they be sent to notify when a file is checked out? No, that is only as lifecycle states are changing there. Let's see some other ones coming in. Inventor 2025 came out the last week of March. I have not seen any updates applied yet for it. If they are out there, I haven't seen them yet. There could be, but I have not seen any updates applied yet. With the number of beta testers that we have and the product testing and the inside the factory, the ITF camps that Autodesk runs each year, they put these through a rigorous testing process before the software is released. So we see fewer and fewer of those updates in the leading months right behind the release of the software.
Mark, did the thin client get saved searches for the individual users yet?
No, it's still read-only. Not saving them for the users yet. Now, what you can do, if you set it up as an advanced search, you can save that as a website shortcut and as a favorite, and you can relaunch that. And if you're logged in, it'll pull right up to that search. If not, it'll make you log in and pull up to that search. We do have some clients that work it that way.
Is that something you could quickly show?
Possibly. Let's see here. Is there the thin client able to save markups? And the thin client, if you add the markup to the DWF file, so you're looking at the visualization file in the background. If you are saving, adding a markup, it is part of that visualization file. Another user opens that, they will see that markup there on that visualization file as well. It's not saving it back to the parent file, but it is part of that visualization. It is not available via Gateway because the thin client does not require a license, and Vault Gateway is a dedicated license instance of Vault. So those two are not tied together at this time. All right, so here's one. It seems like most of my files do not have a DWF file attached, so it does not show a preview in the web client. And so that happens to a lot of users. So as files are checked in through Inventor, through AutoCAD, a DWF file is created in the background. And that's what we're looking at on the visualization side. If there is no preview here, there is a command right here called update visualization. It is a permission that has to be enabled for the user that is logged in. As long as that user has update DWF file, then you can update the visualization. That does require using the job processor, because this will send it out to the job processor itself to update that. Depending on how many files are in the job processor queue, it could take 3 to 5 seconds up to a minute to get through all the different files that is processing, and then the visualization file will be there. But you can, as long as that user that is logged in does have the creation to send files to the job processor and update the visualization, then this update visualization button will be right here, and this will send this over to the job queue, and it'll go right into the queue, and then within a few seconds to a minute, it'll be back with a updated visualization file. Nathan says he has a lot of files that do not have DWF file. Is there a way to create that? You could select everything in a folder and generate the update there. Send it from there. If you're using the job processor, yes, you can use the Inventor task scheduler to check them out, check them in, and have the check-in dialog create the DWFs at the same time, and run that over the weekend or after hours or something. So there's different ways to kind of automate that process. Yes.
You can also run a save search within the vault and say design visualization is not system.
Correct.
And it'll show you all the files that don't have it, and then you can force run them in 500 file batches through the task scheduler or the job processor as well. Was there any updates to the drawing environment for 2025?
Only on the ability to link parts list items to leader text and to add the shading behind the dimensions themselves. Not a lot under the hood, or not a lot above the hood on the drawing side. There were some performance enhancements as far as looking at views and raster view updates, but nothing of note that the normal user would see. All right. And in the chat area, there is a training class schedule. A couple users interested in that. It is in the chat area there. All right, let's see, are there any other questions coming in? And if not, then we can move over here. Is there another one pop in? No, my screen updated there. Let me see here.
Nope, there's no new questions.
Okay.
Any iLogic or code improvements or enhancements for 2025?
There were a few of the, as far as improvements, enhancements, every improvement for iLogic. Depending on or I say all enhancements for iLogic are improvements. Can iLogic code be written based on the model tree structure? I thought we could already do that. I believe we can pull from what is in the tree there. 2024 hit hard on the iLogic with the get command, the checking out from Vault, checking in from Vault, verifying there's an updated version of Vault before saving, things like that. And 2025, there was a couple of bugs in there that it worked on. As far as overhaul or anything, nothing nothing that stands out that, hey, this is a new window or new options there. Just some under the hood fixes there for little bugs that have shown over the years there. Let's see here. Did that open on that side? Get over here.
Is there a way to use the thin client for vendors to see the DWGs only? And use this as a means to keep vendors up to date on changes. So the big thing about the thin client and the Vault client as a whole is it's on the inside of the firewall. And so opening it up to users outside of that space, they're slowly giving us more and more abilities to do that. And it really just depends on what they want to do with the data. You know, at kind of in the back at most end, we have what's called the Vault Gateway, which allows us to essentially create essentially an alternative login page to your server. And that connection can be used by anyone who has the data required for it, a login and essentially the URL for it. And that would allow them to log in as functional users of the Vault. Now, with that in mind, at that point, you would just essentially define, you know, a user for that account that only can see DWGs and can only view content, right?
Correct.
The other way that we could do it would be to, you know, on the most front end of the process would be to just share the files that are relevant to them, where you would right click on the file itself and say share, and then it puts it in the Autodesk viewer page and gives you a link that lasts for 30 days where those people can then view those files. They can't edit them at all in that space, and it's using essentially Forge to view the documents, very similar to the thin client, but they would have to be in control, or they would be in charge of, you know, touching that file set. There's also kind of a little bit of an intermediate as well, where you could use Fusion Teams as a way to upload files from your Vault to it. And that cloud storage space can be opened up to basically anyone. You can collaborate with any email account that you anyone that you associate to that Teams account, that Fusion Teams account. Yep. As far as all of the DWGs inside of your Vault, realistically, that would be like a Vault Gateway situation, and you would have to create an account that's like a viewer. But that would potentially work. You just may, to be completely honest, it would probably take a bit of quite a bit of forethought about, you know, how you configure your Vault, or how your Vault is configured versus what they're going to see, because you may have to do some work to kind of prevent them from seeing everything.
So the thin client does not require a seat of Vault. It is free as long as you have Vault Professional installed and you installed the thin client add-on or the thin client server component. Then the thin client is available. It does not. It's read-only access, so you just have to have a Vault account to log in. As with Vault Professional, you have to have a dedicated seat. Speaking of Gateway, Gateway requires a seat, so you have to have one extra seat for Gateway to run. And then every user outside of the network that would be logging in would have to have a dedicated seat as well, a Vault Professional, to access it. Back around, following back up real quick on the search. So if I run this search here that my file name contains 123 and the title contains test, I found one file. So if I save this as a shortcut, and I'm using Microsoft Edge here, and then I open up Edge and I go over here and I pull this back up, I'm still logged in. It brings me right back up to that. So yes, you can save that search. You just can't save it inside the thin client. It has to be saved as a bookmark or a favorite. Can Inventor 25 be used to automatically create detailed drawings? Inventor 2014 had that. You can use iLogic I think that 2013 or 2014 was the first release that allowed placing of views via iLogic with models. So yeah, you could use iLogic to automatically generate the drawings. If you are adding your model dimensions to your files as they would be added from a detailing standpoint, you can actually have those pulled in as well into the drawing via the iLogic to detail those out for you. It has to be done ahead of time, so your sketch dimensions lined up, your feature dimensions added and whatnot, so you don't have anything unresolved. But yes, there are customers that use iLogic to generate the views automatically and apply those sketch dimensions, those model dimensions to the drawings. And this one is there. Anything else in here? All right, Miss Ashley, I don't see any others coming in.